Welcome back, everybody, to our Groundskeeper Chat series. I'm your host, Meg Kruger. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Christopher Bell.
Hello.
And you may be listening to this on a random Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not in cadence with a bunch of other episodes, but just for your context, this is like our 8th or 9th episode in a row. So things might get a bit wacky.
A little slap happy around here.
So we come to you wherever you are on your journey of life, and we bring you the Groundskeeper Chat live from Columbus, Ohio at the Ohio Turfgrass Conference. And our wonderful guest who will be joining us for this episode has been name dropped in several of the episodes that we hope you have listened to up until this point. Yes. Mr. Matt Duncan. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
And we all hail from around the same area in Ohio. And as at the Ohio Turf Conference, you would assume you'd run into some folks, but really we're neighborly like.
Absolutely. No, Northeast Ohio.
That's right. Proud of it. Yeah. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. This is one of my favorite shows of the year, just connecting with everybody here in Ohio. But no, it's great to see you guys here at the show.
And you mentioned that, you wanted to come back and get back involved in the board and things like that with the Ohio branch in particular. And we were asking Brian about it earlier. We were like, I don't know if we're biased, but there does seem to be something about this group in particular, or the Ohio Turfgrass, managers, where it just seems like there's a stronger bond or something about them that, keeps us all connected. Would you attest to that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is my 31st year in the turf industry. I started in Pennsylvania, but I've now been in Ohio longer than I was ever in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I learned a lot from the people of Ohio. So I think a lot of us have. Going back to Darren Daly, Matt Williams, Brian Gimble, Brian Hall, all these guys. We've learned so much from each other.
I love it.
That everybody credits everybody else with how we got where we are. So it is a tight group.
And, just a quick shout out to Matt Williams. He gets, mentioned a lot as this, legacy or industry vet or industry leader. He does not look that old to be that kind of pillar already, where it's like he's looks like he's fresh blood out there.
Right. No, but he's been a huge impact to so many people. Not even just groundskeepers, but the impact he had here at Ohio State with turf students when he was running the research farm and taking teams to SFMA and the GCSAA, the competitions there. And
very cool.
Just not to leak anything, but I'm really honored that Connor is getting the Matt Williams Scholarship tonight at the OSFMA annual meeting. So it's great to be really close to Matt and see Connor get the scholarship in his name.
That is really sweet. And one of my favorite things about your story is the fact that your son now is carrying the torch. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, I do want to hear officially your turf origin story.
Oh, boy.
Because I think last time we had you on, I was really excited about Connor joining us for that episode. Yeah. And I was like, I need to talk about the legacy of it all and both of you having this career. But now I want to go back to your origin and really, how did this career come on your radar, and how did you really ultimately take the plunge to decide to make a career out of it?
Yeah. No, and I'm happy to have the conversation go to Connor, because that's exciting for me, and it's
a testament to a positive career that you've had.
I just said to Connor a couple of weeks ago that we were driving home for Thanksgiving, and I said I'm just excited. I took him with me since he was 2 years old to Little League World Series and the Browns, and anywhere I went, he went. And I didn't expect him to love the industry. I just wanted to spend time with him and make memories. And he said, well, the turf industry finds you. It really does. And that's kind of how my story falls. I don't know if we have time to really talk about my entry into this industry, but going back to 1995, I was a sociology criminal justice major in college. I went to Lock Haven University. It's a small school, about half hour east of Penn State.
Okay.
And my sophomore year, I got deathly ill.
Okay.
I was going to be a police officer, or Secret Service was my what I wanted to do. But I played baseball my freshman year, and my sophomore year, I went to bed one night feeling sick, and I didn't wake up for 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my gosh!
I fell into a coma. Was on life support, no brain activity. Was on a respirator.
What in the world?
I had a near-death experience, out-of-body experience, where I was floating above my body.
Oh my gosh!
So, long story short, when I woke up, which they didn't know that I would.
Did a roommate discover you, I assume?
Yeah, my roommates.
Poor guy.
I went to bed about 5 o'clock on a Friday, which was not normal in college.
Okay.
And 5 o'clock Saturday, I was still in bed, and I was on the loft, so they couldn't see me. But they decided to try to wake me up.
Yeah.
They couldn't wake me up, so they called the paramedics, and I went to the hospital. And so after my coma for several weeks, I had woke up, but I didn't know my parents. I didn't know where I was, didn't know what happened. I had a trach in my throat, and below my trach, I couldn't feel my body. And I couldn't understand what was going on or where I was. But long story short, I had viral encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain.
Oh my gosh.
And they say the strain that I had kills over 85% of the people that get it. And of the less than 15 that live, over half end up mentally retarded with something going on that they can't go back to life. So I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to talk, swallow food. Doctors had to show me how to swallow food. Babies know how to swallow food, but they had to teach me how to do it. So I had a lot of weeks of therapy. Then they finally let me go home, and then I had outpatient therapy. But I left the hospital on a Friday, and I went down to the Williamsport Cubs, Bowman Field. It's one of the second old. That's where they do the Major League Classic now.
Okay.
Their Little League Classic that you see during Little League World Series. And I went down to see a friend of mine who was the groundskeeper there, and I just wanted to hang out. I just wanted to go say hi.
Yeah.
Well, he asked me to be his assistant, which was a very low budget operation.
Yeah.
Just meant, come in, help line, water the field, move screens during batting practice. So, but I was so bored at home. The doctor said, don't get a job, just work on getting your strength back. And I volunteered probably 14 hours a day just to be around the game of baseball. And I learned.
But don't get a job.
Yeah, don't get a job. So I just volunteered. So. There was a gentleman the Chicago Cubs had named Luby Veal.
Okay.
Luby was sent by the Cubs to make sure all the minor league parks were up to snuff and make sure they were good. So I got to spend about a week with him, just him showing me the basics and showing me how to do things. And I just kept trying things and learning. And then the next year, my friend didn't want to do the job, so I kept pushing the general manager. Look, I worked so hard for you.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'd love to keep doing it. And he gave me a chance. He gave a kid a chance that really just basically came back to life and just had the drive and the passion to want to do it.
Crazy.
And I owe my career to Doug Estes he's still the general manager of the Williamsport Crosscutters in the draft league. And he gave me a chance.
Wow.
And then from there, it's just people that I've met so my story, I don't have the education. I just learned by doing things and making mistakes and saying, don't try that again. But, it's a situation where I say, how can the worst thing that's ever happened to you be the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Wow. I'm actually speechless, and that doesn't happen but I had no idea that was your story.
Yep. And that's what I said. It's absolutely the worst thing that's ever happened. Obviously having to learn how to live. I'm a different person than I was before that happened. And it led me to the turf industry, which I can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
And I also love that part that you shared with us that you've always just brought Connor along because there is that element that this job could really, so many people say it, like you spend more time with your crew than your own family. And I love that you've always brought him along for it. And, I think if you were that close to the turf industry and you got to not only see the craft and how cool that is, but meet people in it. And if you were to go somewhere else and, I'm not to bash on any other industry, but I'm sure it would be a disappointment in a sense to not see that camaraderie and that, that network reflect what he had grown up, witnessing.
Absolutely. And so many people have said, you didn't talk him out of it. And I'm like, look, maybe it's from coming where I came from, where I, just the people or how I got where I am. And I try to give that back. I just try to help people because if I hadn't been mentored by several people, I wouldn't be where I am. But yeah, I can't imagine. It's the best industry in the world. Maybe I'm biased the other way, but I can't imagine doing anything else.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, and so who are some of those mentors for you? Because you were mentioned, like we said several times today, as a pillar in a lot of people's careers. Who were some of those folks for you?
Well, obviously Darren Daly I moved to Ohio in '99, and that's when he got to the crew, and I met Darren and Pam Sherritt pretty much at the same time.
I love it.
And I've been so close to Pam, and the highlight of my career was getting the Darren Daly Award back in 2018, which still is there, but. The first person I met in the turf industry was Paul Curtis.
Okay.
From Penn State University.
Okay.
And it was just after a game, he decided to walk down onto the field and introduce himself to me. If anybody knows Paul, they know that he's not afraid to talk to anybody.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he passed away this past March. He retired.
Okay, I was
going to
say the name. Was ringing a bell, but I couldn't put a. Yeah.
So that was horrible. We're losing too many good ones. Too early. But he was the first person I met, and then I met Bob Hudzik at Penn State, then Herb when Herb Combs was a student. At Paul's service, there were so many people there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that. And I'm looking around that room, and every single person in that room I met personally through Paul.
Yeah.
And this is going back 30 years through people, but and I'm sure everyone in that room is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about the people. But Darren Daly, Matt Williams, like I said, Tom Nielsen, everyone.
Were you a part?
I never worked with Tom, but I'm an honorary part of the Tom Nielsen Mafia, where I did his ACC tournament. I would do a lot with Tom.
I love it.
And he was a huge impact in my career. I have to say, too, after groundskeeping, I'd have to say Bill Marbett and Jason Lovell when they were Southern Athletic Fields, because I didn't know. I'm not a salesperson. I was a groundskeeper, but I'm a people person. And Bill really made it possible for me to get into the sales side of things and helped me along and gave me the tools to be successful there. So I really look back at Bill Marbett and then Jason Lovell also as being huge in my transition and leading me to what I'm doing now.
And when you have mentors like that, I'm sure it becomes natural for you to want to do the same thing for others, because especially with a story like yours where it's like you didn't have any of the formal expertise, and so relying solely on people taking a chance on you
absolutely
puts you in the position to do the same for others.
And OSFMA and OTF in particular have been instrumental in that, and that's coming to these events is how I met people. And now I'm on the board of the National SFMA, 'cause that's another group that's just been huge for me, where I've met so many, and I get to give back in that part of it too.
Definitely.
So,
well, and we've talked a lot about this theme today about OTF, making you a better professional in your own gig as well, and it could, for a boss or somebody, it could be like, well, I don't want you, joining a board of some other organization or giving too many hours to somebody else, but really what you're able to come back to the table with when you are a part of groups like this. And it just makes you such a more well-rounded professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody can do it alone, whether it's your career, your crews. But I encourage people whenever I speak here is to get involved. Because we're not, we all think we live in a bubble and we're going through something that nobody else has ever faced. But we're all we're Northeast Ohio people. So we've all seen things that everybody else has seen. And if we don't talk, we don't know that. So I'm going to find out what might have worked for you, see if it can work for me. And groups like this and being involved and communicating with people statewide is ideal, because there's no industry that shares ideas and thoughts. I almost said shared secrets, but there are no secrets.
Yeah.
Everybody is happy to share what's worked for them. All the professors from different universities that are here today are telling you the things that they see. So you don't get that in a lot of other places.
No. I think in so many avenues of life, you don't get that, where people are encouraging you to, and vulnerability is like a buzzword, but to really open up about maybe things that you're going through to a point where you're like, oh, people don't want to hear that. But when you do, and your ability to connect with other people, but then also to realize, like you said, that this little bubble that you might be living in, like you can come out and connect with people, whether it's a celebratory thing or, a terrible tragedy, what have you. But it's hard to get out of that, when I feel like sometimes it's like you're almost told, just stay and figure it out. Put your head down and figure it out.
Yeah. And in this age where employees are so hard to find, especially good employees become harder to find when it's hard to find people. We're having a big thing in this industry in keeping people in the turf world. Yeah. And every industry is, but I'm giving a talk tomorrow just on leadership and what I see and how important it is to train even our own employees. Not only just talk to people around that are head guys, but to train our employees. And I always had the philosophy that I want to hire my replacement so that I can, number one, I can take a day off and feel that things are being done the same way. But you really have to hire people and give them give them responsibility and give them the ability to make mistakes.
Yep.
And do it that way. You have to be able to have the freedom. I mean, a lot of people are anxious at work. I'm one of them. And so if somebody jumps on me, I just take it internally and it shuts me down. But you have to give people the tools and the training. And the best quote I saw was like Richard Branson, I think, said like, train people so they can leave, but treat them so they'll stay.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's how you have to do it. It's a tight industry, but I think too many people are chasing people away by not treating people the right way. And
don't I know about that?
Comes down to kindergarten, right? Honestly, just be nice to people.
Yeah,
truly. Well, very
sure.
cool, and I appreciate you sharing that with us because I really had no idea.
Yeah,
it's probably one of those things where people are like, how's your day? And it's like, well, do you really want me to?
Yeah.
It's like, what's your story?
Right.
And it's like, you ready for this one?
I'm happy to share it because it's who I am. I'm just given a second chance.
Yeah.
And I had to completely learn to do everything. So I look at my kids every day, and I'm just grateful that I get to be their dad. And
both are at Ohio State now.
No, my daughter went to Youngstown State.
Okay, nurse.
She's an
right?
She's an RN at Akron Children's Hospital. Yeah.
Very cool.
She loves what she's doing. And
are we gonna have a historical? Okay, everybody, just for your context,
celebrity appeared.
James, as we've been saying all day, we were hoping we could get him onto the mic, but he just gave us the wave off. But he does want to sit in on Matt's talk because we just got to hear Matt's story and it was wonderful. But
again,
you
James
are not allowed to comment on it.
James is another person his friendship has meant a lot to me and has been a huge impact in where I've gotten to.
Matt, that's just like we rehearsed before he came in.
Exactly. They do that okay?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we were talking a little bit about your daughter and your son, and now having Connor here and making his own brand in the industry and really paving his own way. How incredible is it when people come up to you and they're just like, "Wow, that kid of yours." Yeah,
it's great, and I'll never forget. Like even last year at SFMA when he went to the SFMA last year, and he walked into the trade show floor, and then Wayne Ward came over to me and said, wow, I just spent 5 minutes with Connor and was really impressed with him. So people like that who, Wayne's a legend, and someone like that to come up and say that about Connor meant a lot. And it's just so cool to watch him. I always say you can open the door for somebody sometimes, but they have to walk in and make their own name and do their own thing. And
Definitely.
I'm happy to help him any way I can. And he's a go-getter and a hard worker, and he's doing things on his own.
Well, it's a tricky balance, I'm sure, because it's like in a lot of ways you probably could shove him through several doors and, open this one and open that one and say, go. But that tricky balance of like allowing him to, the doors have been open, but you get to kind of decide where you take this.
Yeah, and it was funny this summer when he was the head groundskeeper at the Scrappers because I helped him a lot and I was there. I just went to spend time with him.
Yeah.
So I would work pregame and I would see him out there watering, and I'm like, "You gonna water again?" He goes, "No, I think it's so good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But he'll figure it out, and he did.
I love it.
That's how I learned. I learned by just making mistakes, and not saying he made a lot of mistakes, but just you learn by doing things, and maybe how you can do something a little bit different the next time you do it.
Maybe I should learn something from you on parenting on that. I like sit next to my kid when he's doing his homework, and I'm like, "No."
Well,
you got
we're not talking about that because that's not easy.
Oh my gosh. That's been the biggest challenge of my year. It's like seeing him about to do it wrong, and I'm just like, "No, dude, you got to do that."
Parenting at homework is completely different.
Okay. I'm glad
you can't judge parenting skills by how you handle homework.
Glad you've shared that because I can't tell you how oh my gosh. When we had that first parent-teacher conference or whatever, I came with I was like, listen, this homework has altered my entire life. Like, you have no idea how it's changed, like, in a bad way, in a very negative way. But I like to hear that you have
kindergarten.
That others
you want to be careful because you don't want to alter theirs either by how you react.
Oh my gosh, the homework. You would think that yes, it's kindergarten, and that was my approach going into the year. And then they were like pulling him for every extra help because he doesn't know how to write his name. He doesn't know how to do. Now he does, but
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. Well, he is Kevin's kid as well. You have to remember that. Kevin is half of River. So will he really be fine?
Oh, boy.
Well, I will say, too, kindergarten
this rabbit hole.
kindergarten first grade was my speed with homework, too. So once we got beyond that.
Oh, yeah.
Fourth grade math.
I wasn't
out.
much of a help.
I don't know what's going on here.
I will say, I think that's what a lot of the parents are using ChatGPT for. It's like, reteach me how to, teach this problem or whatever. But my dad teaching homework, he was super particular. Like, you had to have a clean workstation and you had to have 2 pencils. You could never do your homework in pen. And, you had to have all these things in order for him to sit down to help you. Yeah. And my mom, you just had to cry for 2 minutes and she was doing the homework for you. So
there you go.
There were two different ways there.
This is a segment of the Groundskeeper Chat we call "We Make It About Us, Not About You."
My favorite segment, believe it or not.
Well, I've been there, and homework was not my forte. It wasn't my forte when I was a student, and it certainly wasn't much different when I was a parent.
Goodness. All right, so Matt, we got because I needed some clarification on what the difference was between OTF and OSFMA. So Ryan gave that to us this morning. So looking at OTF and OSFMA, the partnership, what are you most looking forward to in the upcoming year? Now that, that you guys have done quite transformation and bringing new, things into the new year, what are you hoping comes of that?
Well, just from my perspective, coming through being at OTF for a long time, it seemed like when I was first coming into the industry and coming here, it seemed like a more golf-centric, golf-centric conference.
Yeah, okay.
From when I started, there was a sports turf track, but most of the board were golf course members or golf course superintendents or something like that. And it seems like now OSTMA used to be separate. We were a different group, but now it's under the same umbrella, run by the same management, and it's there's a lot more sports turf involvement in the board decisions and things like that. So it's a much more cohesive organization, and I think it's better for it.
Well, yeah, and especially since there's so many, turf journeys where it's like you may start out in one track of the industry, but being able to switch lanes and, have that network of folks that if you came to OTF as, a golf course assistant or even just, a grunt worker of sorts, but you've made some connections on the sports turf side, that's just a door open that you can, try that out so much easier.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, sir, I thank you for your time and I thank you for your wonderful commentary, and I'm sure there's more to come down the line with our story here.
Oh,
You're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate that. Always great talking with you guys, and I love listening to your show.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
See, Chris, we haven't turned away too many. Thank you.
I drive a lot, so it's fun.